Hello, fellow YouTubers. This is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music. And in this video, we're going to take a look at a cue written for fantasy horror. And let's go ahead and start and take a look at the cue. And then we'll describe some of the characteristics in fantasy and horror that were used. So there we have the short cue. Actually, it was a short film that I wrote the music for some time ago. And it started out in a fantasy mode, and the harmonic structures were pretty much using triads, and the melody structure was consistent with the harmony. The rhythm typically in fantasy is 3/4, 4/4, 3/8. So this was a triple meter, and the rhythm is not, in fantasy, it's not prominent. The music is mostly driving the cue with the harmony and the melody and the orchestration. And as you see, it started out with strings. Let's go back to the beginning. So we basically have some muted strings, Sordino strings, carrying the beginning part of the cue. And then we have the strings carrying the melody, and we have the celeste coming in, which is a very common instrument in fantasy music. And another common instrument in the orchestration of fantasy is the harp, possibly choir, but the also non-pitched metallic percussion is common. Pizzicato strings are very common, as well as tremolos and trills. But this was pretty much straightforward with the celeste, the melody, and the harmony going on. And then we changed. Here we have some counterpoint coming along. So then we come into a new section. And as you can see, the meter is changing from time to time. At one point, we're in 2/4 for one measure, and then we're in 3/4, and then we're in 4/4. So it does vary in the time signature from time to time. As you can see, we're in 4/4 now. And then we go back into the initial chord structure we were using with the Sordino strings. Now, if you can hear, we've got pizzicato strings going on, which is also quite common in the orchestration for fantasy cues. So that faster melody picks up when there's more action in the scene as she's eating the cupcakes. Then we come back to the chord structure, the Sordino strings. Now, here's where we're definitely in the horror genre. Now, horror music in general uses extremely dissonant harmonies, and we're hearing those. The chords will typically use minor seconds to use dissonance, but any kind of notes outside whatever scale you're in. Also, dense voicings are usually used in the low register. And 20th century music, such as clusters and harmonies using even quarter tones, are commonly used. As far as melody and horror, basically you're focusing on dissonant intervals, emphasizing pitches not found in your traditional major and minor scales. Chromatic scales and the octatonic scales are good scales to use. The melody is highly fragmented, and it can use random performance techniques, such as your 12-tone scales, for example. As far as tempo, it's usually slow, as it was until she started walking quickly, and lacks a clear beat. So it's sort of the music sort of comes in at random times, and they often use random performance techniques. The players will have instructions to play a part that's unsynced with other players. And again, you'll have dissonant clusters. Brass can be used effectively, as well as strings and or woodwinds for dissonance chords, and dense clusters in the low registers, which gives you a dark color, which is desirable in horror music. So that pretty much will conclude this introductory tutorial on horror and fantasy, and in upcoming videos we'll get more detail into horror and more detail into fantasy. This is sort of a combination of both. So this is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music. If you like this video, please click like, and if you want to be notified as soon as the next video comes out, please subscribe. Also, YouTube had a change in policy that requires creators to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers and also 4,000 hours in time over the past year. So I'm coming up short in the subscriber number. So it would be highly appreciated if you subscribe to my channel to keep these videos going. Otherwise, this channel could fade by the side, since they will no longer monetize people unless they've meet the basic criteria. So Bill McFadden signing off from Tone Pure Music.